Hi, Ronak, and welcome to today's show.
Hi,
I
Namrata.
am I- I'm excited to have you because I've seen a lot of your Insta reels where you speak about relationship and what how critical are relationship in bringing happiness in our life. So today I'm going to ask you a lot of things that brings joy, excitement, and fun in our life. Staying in a relationship with the person and people that we love. Okay, so to start with, Ronak, if you can give like a brief idea about when an individual is going from a dating phase to marriage phase, how do they conduct themselves at each phase, and what challenges they are likely to face?
Okay. So, first of all, thank you for having me. And I'm really happy that I'm getting to talk on this topic, relationship, because it is one of my core values, which I only realized when I went through this whole, self healing phase, working on yourself. At that point, I realized that how my relationships are so important to me. So, dating and marriage. Okay, so we have to first get it in our head that we are in India. So, we are shifting now, this whole women empowerment and independent women. So, we are the change makers. The society, the mindset is also shifting with us. So, how the dating phase is all rosy and you are only looking at connection, you're only looking at chemistry, you're only looking, okay, you've fallen in love, and all the negatives of the person are blindsided with the blinders, of love that you have. And then when you move towards commitment, when you move towards marriage, you realize that, okay, now it is not just about feelings, it's not just about love. Now it is about two individuals coming together to start a whole new family. Both the sides of the families are involved. They have some expectations, you have some expectations. You are coming from your core belief values, they are coming from their core belief values. So at that point, you realize that it was not just chemistry that can make the whole marriage work. At that point, you realize that, okay, now when reality sets in and when those hormones start settling in of attraction and excitement, when real life, throws its curves and balls, you really need a good, supportive, understanding partner with you. It cannot work without that. So, for example, in my case, mine was an arranged marriage. And I have also had this misconception, growing up in this rom-com phase of Shah Rukh Khan's and all that. It's all going to be rosy, rosy. And we got married during COVID. So COVID again has its own shares of ups and downs that every couple has gone through. You couldn't meet so often, so that that physical interaction was very less. It was all on call or these video calls, and though we met a few times, but it wasn't as much as we wanted. But one thing we both realized was that because I got married in my early 30s, which is a very common age these days. Though our parents think that we've become late, but I think that I made a very wise decision. Because when once you cross 30, you exactly know what works for you, what doesn't work for you. You know what are your non-negotiables in a partner. And I think one thing that we all can do is just jot down your non-negotiables that you are looking for in a partner and become that person yourself. So that once you become that person yourself, you will attract a like-minded partner. In our case, what it is that usually what we are doing is we have a list that we are looking for in a life partner. but we are not looking at what we are bringing to the table. So the clashes and the expectations, they all start there. So once you have your non-negotiables figured out, what is your long-term vision? What are your long-term goals? How do you aspire to be? This shift from dating to marriage becomes very easy. Though I will not tell you, life is never going to be easy, and all the relationships are not what they seem on Instagram and Facebook and all those lovey-dovey posts. But yeah, if we have a good partner, it really, really life becomes beautiful.
Okay, so, Ronak, how do you define non-negotiable?
Okay, how do you define non-negotiables? We all have some base values, our core values, okay? So once, and you need to figure this out for yourself. Like for you, if your work is more important than your family, and if you're a girl, so you really need to discuss this part with your partner beforehand. But listen, I'm also a very ambitious person. So for me, my work will always have equal priority as my family. So I will need someone who can support me along the way. And if you're a person who thinks that no, I enjoy my feminine energy more, I want to be taken care of, I want to be provided for, and I'm ready to give you a beautiful home. So then you have that clarity that then what kind of a partner you are looking for. In my core values, there was freedom. Like my non-negotiable was freedom. I needed somebody who was really open-minded. So this was something that I have inculcated in me, that I try my best to be as non-judgmental as possible. I have accepted the fact that in today's time, if I am a woman over 30 and I'm looking for a partner, uh, there will be someone, very few options will not come with a baggage of their own. Their past, their own breakups. We have all had so that person will also have their emotional baggage that they're carrying. So you have to be very open for that also. That now it's a very different world we are living in. Our parents were not exposed that much. They met one person, they got married to one person, and then they accepted it as their destiny, and then they made that marriage work. In our case, we are exposed to so many things that we have like a buffet to pick. But we also have to realize that a person is not coming like a buffet. Like you can't have somebody, you want somebody emotional. You want somebody very romantic. So then you have to realize that the person who's romantic will also have a very sensitive side. So you can't be like, okay, I want somebody romantic, but then that person shouldn't be very sensitive and very clingy. So in that way, your non-negotiables, like how does, if it's freedom, if it's family, if it's health, okay, two partners coming together and they both, one, एक की core value में health है. One is a fitness freak. And एक की top 5 priorities में health है ही नहीं. So when they start living together, it is a constant that, nagging, you're trying to change the other person. Though we all know it's good for us. So just figure out what are your like respect. Respect is, I would say that give and get respect is one mantra that I follow. I will treat someone how I want to be treated. So I will treat you the best of my capabilities, and you have to treat me to the best of your capabilities. It doesn't work any other way. There are a lot of like communication. For women, communication becomes very, very important. They're very expressive. They want somebody, and men, they want, if we are having an argument, they will want some space and some time to process that whole thing. So what are your non-negotiables? You really need to figure out what you're looking for in a partner. Some 2 to 3 top qualities that in दो तीन चीजों में तो मैं नहीं ज्यादा adjust कर पाऊंगी. The rest of the things, okay, we'll manage. But अगर कोई 2-3 चीजें ऐसी हो जिनके लिए आपको लगता है कि नहीं, these are my mandatory qualities, so be clear on those things.
Got it. Got it. So, Ronak, you did touch on the communication part. If you can elaborate it little in detail. So, how does style of communication, mannerism around communication play role in building relationship with your partner?
So we all have our love languages, Namrita, that we all know. Like there are those 5 basic love languages, but that is a very broadly classified. If you go into them in detail, they will have a lot of subheadings also. So I think communication is not just verbal communication. Communication is also actions, your body language, the tone with which you communicate, uh, how you provide for your partner. Like for example, in our case, my husband's love language is acts of service. I really just need to mention something and it's done. But it does not come in my core value. For me, that part is like, okay, you did it for me, but I would have done it. And for me, my core love language is quality time together and intimacy. So over this period of 3 to 4 years that we have been together, we have come somewhere, we have realized, okay, the middle ground. That now he knows that, okay, when I enter the house and if he's there already, I'll expect him to put his phone down, to stop, for this few 4 or 5 minutes, whatever he was doing, acknowledge me in the house, smile, ask me how was my day. And that just makes you feel seen. That need of you're seen, you're heard, your presence makes a difference, because you also notice that these days we are so engrossed in our phones, especially even if you're not working. Somebody can enter the room and you will not even look up. And that kind of, kills the vibe altogether. Again, one more thing that I really follow in communication is the tone of your voice. I really, really think it makes a lot of difference in what tone you're communicating your needs. Because you can be absolutely right, but if your tone is not right, that message does not get conveyed. If your tone is, or it seems like you're shouting at the other person, or it seems very argumentative, then even your right words just fall short, and it turns out like, okay, you're constantly trying to pick fights, or you're constantly nagging. So your tone, your body language, your expressions of, you're validating your partner or not validating your partner. All these things are a big, big part of communication. And we have also heard this, that it's never just communication, it's also about comprehension. How much the other person wants to comprehend what you are speaking. You can keep speaking, but is it even making sense to the other person?
I really like this comprehension because that is the lesser spoken aspect. It's always like the way you communicate is given a lot of importance. And this is something that comes out from experience, I would say. Are we listening? That is what we have to ask. Okay, so Ronak, first I would like to know from you, today men and women both are working. In previous generation, it was basically household chores and that's all that women would do. But today, for women, it is work plus household chores plus hobbies plus socializing and plus so many things. I think probably that goes true for men also. For them, there is work, and even they would like to spend time with their friends or spend time investing in a new hobby. So when both individual have so many individualistic lifestyle, in that case, how do they connect and find time for each other?
I think that is a whole different I would say a coaching session in itself altogether. Because finding time. Now, Namita, we all have to accept it that every person has 24 hours. And you choose your day according to your priorities. Something that is important, you will get it done come what may, and something that is not important, or you know that okay, you can shift it to the next day, or then you start procrastinating it. So, how important is your time with your partner? It all comes down to that. So, like how I told you, that for me, quality time together. So, till I don't get my quality time together, I feel everything else becomes meaningless.
Hmm.
Because why am I hustling so much, or why am I working hard, or why? It all comes down to because I want to have a good life with the partner of my choice. So if I'm not able to spend that time, or if my emotional needs are not met, then it becomes a very very mechanical, a mundane kind of thing that we say. वही रोज उठो, काम पे जाओ, आओ, खाना खाओ, अपने emails check करो, scroll your phone and go to sleep. So this is one way you can pass your day. And then there is another, that where on a day-to-day basis, I'm not saying you need to do much. If it permits your work schedule, you can just drop a text in a day. How is your day going? What does your evening look like? So you get a brief idea of how hectic the schedule for the other person is. So me and my husband have this, that we both don't get time during the day, and I stay with my in-laws also. So, but we have this thing that post dinner, we go for a very short walk together. Like it's a 15-20 minutes kind of a stroll, which does not have any other agenda except to just disconnect from everything else, and just be with each other, talk to each other. I would also say one thing, that yeah, being friends with your partner really helps. So it's also how you call up your that one best friend, and you're venting out your whole day probably, or so it's that kind of a thing. Okay, so even the other person is aware of what is going on in your life, because at times things get very stressful at work, and if your partner is not aware of it, and they may think that why is she acting snappy, or why is she so irritated, what did I do? Because we don't realize when we are irritated, we may take out our mood swings on someone else who does not deserve it. So yeah, just being aware of how the current work schedule is looking for your partner. You can fix date nights. I know it is spoken a lot these days, but how we schedule everything in our calendar. Like we have time, okay, these are this weekend I'm going out with this friend. So now it's not those spontaneous plans. वो कॉलेज एंड सिंगल लाइफ तक बन जाते थे, बट व्हेन यू हैव सो मेनी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज, घर का देखना है, मेड्स का देखना है, यू लिविंग विथ योर इन लॉज, यू हैव किड्स. So it's better to plan a fixed time, and don't think that isn't it boring. No, it's not boring, because your life is no more spontaneous, that where you can just drop everything and go for a trip with your partner. Though I know we should do those things, but we all have our commitments. So just have a fixed one date night dinner. Not every day we are having dinner at home, but it really helps if you go out. Nobody's, everybody's free from the chores of the food and the preparation part, and it doesn't have to be a fancy place. It doesn't have, like, date does not always have to be a fancy place. It can be just going for a drive, uh, picking up a snack, going for a drink together. It's all about making time and making efforts. It has to be in both the people's priority. Only one person wanting it and the other person not giving it, I would say, or not realizing the value of it, then it becomes that my expectations are not being met. So both of them should have that conversation that, listen, this is what I need from you. I need one dinner with you, or where we are not talking about work, probably, where it is only us. Or I just need one long drive. Or can we have a 15 minutes time just for ourselves before going to bed? So all these things do help.
I really like the micro moments that you are saying to capture in our date. So you feel connected with your partner. But on a connection is one aspect, but I think the deeper aspect that most of us crave for is respect and trust.
True.
So how do you build this respect? Like, how do you project yourself that you see respect for you in your partner's eye? Or a element of trust in your partner's word when somebody's saying some XYZ about you. So what efforts can be made to build this aspect about relationship?
Namrata, I think being women, we have to realize that respect will not be served to you on a plate. It is, everything is earned. So how much worth you have of yourself, how much self-respect you have of yourself. Always remember, you will be treated the way you treat yourself. So if you are a priority for yourself, you will make sure that you don't allow anybody to take you for a joyride. But if you yourself put in your own list, like your needs, your expectations, your self-respect, your worth, your self-love, अगर वो कहीं आपकी लिस्ट में चौथे पांचवें नंबर पे आ रहा है, तो it is very visible in your actions. And if you don't love yourself, if you don't respect yourself, you will not get it from anybody else. And this works in any relationship dynamics. It works even in your work system, it works in your home environment, it works with your kids, it works everywhere. What kind of boundaries you're setting? And by boundary setting, we all know that just repeating something does not work. You need to have consequences if your boundaries have been violated. And then when you stop it at a very initial level, you don't let it, like, you don't wait for the cup to get full, that nahi, is baar bhi jaane dete hain, is baar bhi jaane dete hain, is baar bhi jaane dete hain. And then one day if you burst, people don't realize that what happened today, it has always been like this. So you have to stop all these things at a very, very, what I would say, budding stage. Don't let the water go over the brim. Have love for yourself, respect yourself, know your self-worth. If you're getting those actions very clear, the words can be anything. Maybe I'll get the moon for you. But if the actions are not even of, you can't even depend on that person, or you can't even trust that person, you have texted and you don't get a text back like for the next 10 hours. We know in these days it's impossible that all of us don't check our phones. So if you're allowing all these things to happen, then remember that you have set the base like that. So be very, very clear what you're okay with and what you're not okay with, and it does not look rude. Because शुरू में थोड़े clear बन के आपको लगेगा कि नहीं भाई, I'm being very demanding, but no, you're being very clear with what works for you and what does not work for you. Because शुरू में हम all lovey-dovey act कर लें, and बाद में if we say that no भाई, this does not work for me, so the person will say that okay, you've changed now. You were happy with these things during our dating time. So be very clear how you see yourself in your eyes. Love yourself, and the world will love you. And nobody is loved by everyone, right? So be very okay with, okay, if this person is not for me, I'll find someone better, because God's plan is always the best.
That's good. So, Ronak, while having this conversation, whether during dating phase or during marriage, these are some difficult conversation, right? They are likely to lead to conflict if it's not pursued in correct way. So how do you handle such conversation?
I told you, it's the tone of your voice. It's how you put things forward. So I can say the same thing to you, but I can say it to you very lovingly, smiling. And the person will think that, is she even serious with what she's saying? But the message is conveyed. And I really follow this, Namrata. It is not just because we are having this podcast, but I have also learned it the hard way. You know, when you have your first relationship probably, and you are all in love and you're very young and you don't realize that what is actually okay and what is violating your boundaries, and you are just going with the flow kind of thing. You have all this एक पूरी वो limiting belief में आपके एक प्यार की पट्टी चढ़ी हुई है, and nothing is, and then suddenly you realize that you have lost your own identity in this whole process. And again, that is demeaning your confidence. And you're looking at yourself and you're thinking, how did I reach this place? But you have to take 100% responsibility then, that you also had a role to play. You allowed this to happen to you. It happened to you by your own choice. So I know all these. I told you this, that in initial days you will look like, okay, is she being so demanding? But if the other person is mature enough, and I'm talking in both the aspects, I'm not talking like gender wise that it has to be a man and only the woman. Even a man should know what he expects from his partner. If you want a strong, independent, working woman, you have to understand she's not going to be a perfect housewife. You have to understand that she will have her opinions and say in things. And if you want a submissive partner, then you have to realize that, okay, you will always have to be the strong one taking decisions. So clarity, because we're not taught all these things in school. All these things only come with experience, or probably working, reading on yourself. So that clarity, that what kind of life am I looking for? And if that is the kind of life, then what kind of a partner am I looking for? And all these conversations are not easy, Namrata, but I had them in an arranged marriage. Because probably I was at that stage in my life where I was very sure of myself. I was financially secure in my work life, and I knew that at this point of time, if I'm going ahead with a commitment, it is only for my emotional needs, and it is for my long term, what you call long term companionship. So I knew that I can adjust on the other aspects. Like, you know, if the guy is probably financially not doing as good as me, or if he's still settling in his work life, so I can support him in all those things. But if his clarity is not clear on providing me the emotional support that I need, then probably that person is not the right person for me.
You had a mature discussion, Ronak, I would say that.
Truly did. And I had it with not only just my husband, I also had it with my mother-in-law. Because I realized when you're getting married late and all your friends have got married and all your cousins have started getting married, you get a lot of stories. And those stories create a lot of anxiety and fear. That
Yes.
okay, this ये भी हो सकता है, वो भी हो सकता है. इसके लिए भी टोका जा सकता है, इसके लिए भी मना करा जा सकता है, and then you start having self-worth and self-doubt issues that probably
Hmm.
I am not good enough.
Hmm.
So all this noise around me of other people's, how other people's relationships are going, and how in still I belong to a Marwadi household. Okay, so it's very traditional system, and I was very clear कि मैं typical Marwadi बहू अच्छी शायद ना बन पाऊँ. So I don't want to go and spoil two people's life afterwards. I'm a good person at heart. The other person is also a good person at heart. But it's not necessarily that two good people, when they come together, they may have a good marriage.
Hmm.
So I was very clear to my mother-in-law that, okay, I'm not so religious and so traditional in my ways. But the good part is that I had a very, very supportive, mature person in front of me who understood this, that this girl is now coming, like she's not getting married at the age of 20, 21, 22, where I can just mold her in my house ways. So
Hmm.
we had this, she's told me, thoda tum badlogi, thoda main badlungi, we'll find our common ground. And I
Hmm.
accept the fact that so many women may not be having such a healthy discussion with their would-be in-laws.
Yes. And for them also to change at this like a senior age, it's not easy for them.
Easy for them. So we have come to a common ground where I do things, some things which I know I'm only doing it for them. Because in rest of the things, I'm getting it my way. So you have to always remember it's not going to be my way or highway. In some things, even you have to be ready to compromise, adjust, mold, because we're living in a society.
Hmm.
And how much ever we may want to be torch bearers, but I feel that journey is very lonely. And
It is.
the way loneliness is becoming the next pandemic, we all
Hmm.
have to realize that we are the transition generation. So
Hmm.
we have to carry some things of the patriarchy still with us, and some changes we are going to bring to them.
Correct. So, Ronak, taking this forward, you have your in-laws with you, you have your clinic where you put in time, efforts, and you also see a vision for yourself. In this scenario, how do you keep the intimacy alive? Spending quality time is one thing, but the moments where you are intimate with your partner, they bring in different sense of connection in relationship. So how do you do that? Don't tell me date nights. I think that's
No.
overspoken
I think
and
that's overspoken. I'm not saying date nights. But Namrita, intimacy kind of thing, like how I told you, my love language is like physical touch. So now physical touch always does not mean getting intimate with your partner. It also means that like he knows that in the morning when I get up, I just need 10 to 15 minutes. He should just cuddle me. They're like my how you charge your phone in the morning. So they are like my battery charging, like those 10, 15 minutes, he has to just cuddle me when I'm awake. And that is how my whole day passes, that, okay, I know he's there for me. And now I have to go out and do the things that I'm supposed to do in the whole day. And when I'll come back, he's still here for me. And intimacy also changes with age, I would say, with with your um, with your expectations. Both the people in a relationship may not have the same intimate needs. So one person will have to raise his needs, one person will have to reduce their needs, and somewhere they will both find a common ground. And again, it has to be clearly spoken and discussed. So how they say, that how intimacy is so exciting during the dating phase, and it reduces in the marriage phase. So that is very clear why. Because in the dating phase, you are thinking that, okay, you have this person, you're meeting that person today, you don't know when you're going to meet that other person again in a more what I say, solitude or confined, where you can show your affection in a more physical manner. So in marriage, you know that, okay, this is the person I'm coming back to bed every night. So that person is with me. Aaj, kal, parso, tarso. So somewhere it can be discussed, like you have to discuss it that let's not in this whole work thing, let's not forget this. And it is still better till you don't have kids, probably. Once you have kids, it even takes a more backseat because then you're really, really exhausted. And one person whose needs are more starts feeling very neglected.
Hmm.
And in relationships where people have taken their physical intimacy part like too much for granted, probably, you, it's very visible. The chemistry or that the comfort and that affection and that friendship, every part will start getting impacted. Because at the end of the day, you can find all your needs met outside. Like if your husband is not your best listening partner, you will probably have a girlfriend to, for you to listen to. If your husband does not like watching your kind of movies, you'll find somebody to go for those kind of movies, or you'll watch it by yourself. But physical intimacy is one part that you will only and only expect from your partner. And I would say everyone who will listen to this, that please don't neglect it. If you and your partner are not on the same level, then find things to do that excite you. If not even that, find a relationship counselor. They will give you tools and exercises that do help. Talk to your partner. It does not have to be a taboo topic. And even to the women out here who think that how should they bring it up? So it's completely okay. You can show your vulnerable side to your partner. You can say you have needs. First, you have to accept your sexuality. Only then will you be confident about it in front of your partner.
Hmm. And all these topics sometimes creates a disconnection between partner, if not spoken or if spoken not in a correct way. So if any individual has made a mistake by asking it aggressively or talking it in not so polite way or by not expressing, so there is a gap, the disconnection is already being built. How do we unbuild it, like bring it back to a connection level?
I think, Amrita, in that case, first of all, the intent matters. That how, in the long run, how you're seeing this relationship going forward. Do you just want to be two people who live under the same roof? Do you want to live like roommates? And if not, then probably have this discussion when you're both not very aggressive or not very hurt, like a neutral conversation. And it's not going to be easy. So like probably go for a drive where you can, in your car, you have all the privacy. You can't have this conversation probably in a coffee shop or a restaurant. So just long drives with silent music in the background. And you can slowly start discussing it that, listen, this, I think we need to talk about this. Though I know these words, they sound very, very heavy to the men when a woman speaks. We need to talk about this. But I remember the one thing that I've learned is your tone really, really matters. Is your tone offensive? If your tone blaming the other person is your tone very neutral? That you're ready for a discussion now. It's not going to be a blame game. Because blame games don't get you anywhere. If your partner has spoken something aggressively on a particular topic, there will be a different topic on what you have spoken aggressively and hurt his or her sentiments. So there is no other way. Or if you're a very expressive person in your actions, one thing is there that you need to talk. And if you're not a person who can speak in words, then there are so many ways that in your actions you can make it very clear to your partner that, listen, okay, we had a fight or we had an argument on this topic. Let's put it behind us. And how do we plan to move forward? Because there is no joy left, if you're all living with so much of resentment and anger. Like, you'll have days, you'll have those monthly 2-3 days where you go on a cold war, but then on the fourth or fifth day, if the intent is that this is it, I'm committed to this person for life. It's like siblings, you can fight with them, you can you want to kill them, but they are your relationship or bonds for life. So the same way, when you find that person where you don't keep having these thoughts that I'm going to get separated or I'm going to get divorced in every fight, if you bring all these kind of words, that relationship is going to tumble. But if the intent is clear that yes, it's both of us for life, then it is very easily manageable.
It all boils down to the intention.
It all boils down to the intention.
Yes. I'm loving this conversation, Ronak, but now I'll have just last one question, and that would be any advice that you feel would bring joy in life of people who are in relationship, maybe facing some trouble or not able to express themselves or finding an identity for themselves in a relationship.
So, first of all, if you have tried everything else, like if you know where you are in this relationship, you've tried talking to your partner, you have tried actions, you have, and still, if it is not working, then I don't think so that one of you wants to make it work. It's only one person putting in the effort and the other person not realizing how important this part of life is. And like, I'm a firm believer of life coaching, Namrita. Life coaching has really helped me in every aspect of my life, whether it's personally, professionally, with my siblings, with my parents. It has helped me understand every person more better because I have understood myself better. I know my needs, my expectations. So now I know that how they have to be met also. I'm very vocal about things. So if you need help, then please go and find the right person to help you. If you need to walk out of this relationship, also give yourself some time, some timeline that okay, I'm going to do my best, and with a very positive energy. Your energy is negative and your actions are positive, also they don't match. I have to make this relationship work. And if still things don't change, then I think that relationships are the joy of life. Ultimately, when you have, ticked off all your goals and you have no one by your side, it's going to be a very lonely journey. So find that person.
That's true. And thank you so much, Ronak, for sharing all the insights, some from your experience, your learning, your interaction with your client. And it was nice listening to you and all the wisdom that you brought in today on this topic. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Namrita, for having me. I really enjoyed. I also did not expect that what all will come out in this conversation, and I would end up sharing so much of my personal information. But one message to all your viewers is work on yourself. Only then every aspect of your life falls in place.
Correct. Thank you.
Thank you, Namrata. Thank you so much.